All right, so what I'm going to do now is go through and review these forms of government one more time in hopes that you'll be able to be more successful when you retake that assignment and when we take the quiz later in the week. First of all, review of democracy. The big thing to remember there is power to the people. The two major questions with all forms of government that we went over earlier last week was, first of all, how do the leaders get power and keep power? And in democracy, that comes through the voting process. By electing leaders and by electing people to represent them, that is how the leaders in that government get power, and that's how they keep power. If they want to remain in their position, then they rely on the voting. The other major question was, what's the relationship between government and citizens? And in a democracy, because there is limited government, which means the government does not have complete and absolute power to do whatever they want, the citizens do have many rights. And compared to other forms of government, I look at democracy as a partnership where the leaders in the government and the people have to work together towards a common goal. There's some shared responsibility and power going on there. Dictatorship, just remember that there's that one person in charge, and anyone who's in their path is going to be ran over or kicked out or killed or thrown in prison. The leaders get power through force, fear, intimidation, usually some sort of military force, and that's how they keep their power as well. The relationship between the government and the citizens is very different than democracy. The government has unlimited power, absolute power, so that means that the citizens have basically no rights or freedoms. The dictator lords over the citizens with his absolute power. The relationship between the government, the leader, and the citizens is not a strong one of cooperation. It is one of, this is the way it's going to be, and that's what you have to follow. When it comes to monarchy, just remember monarching. This is leaders getting their power due to tradition and allegiance of the people to their royal family or whoever is in the royal bloodline. The tradition of following whoever is next in line, the son or daughter of the king or queen. The relationship between government and citizens is one that just kind of depends on what kind of monarchy that we're looking at. If it's an unlimited government, the citizens have few rights. It's closer to the kind of relationship that a monarchy has or that a dictatorship has, but other monarchies today are not so much like a dictatorship. It's the respect and honor to the king or queen is important. The monarch has all the power. The citizens follow the king or queen out of respect, or in some cases out of fear if they're like a dictator. The thing to remember with theocracy is that religion rules, and the leaders get their power due to the religious affiliation of the people. It has some sort of connection with the religion itself. Religious leaders will even have lots of influence and power. If a leader comes into power and he's not a religious leader, he has to have the approval from the religious leader himself. The relationship between the government and citizens all centers around the faith. Citizens follow the government out of loyalty to their religion. They feel like disobeying the government is like disobeying their faith. So therefore, they give them the honor and respect for the same reasons that they give honor and respect to their God. They feel like these things go hand in hand. When the religion rules inside of a government, then you have a theocracy. Now the differences between representative and direct democracy. Representative, the citizens elect leaders, and that keyword representative, their representatives have power to create and vote on laws. The people elect leaders to represent them. So just keep that keyword in mind. Citizens aren't really making laws or creating laws, but occasionally get to vote on some. Like in our country, we have representative democracy, and the people get to vote on some key major issues, whether it's things that are dealing with gun laws or marijuana legalization, same-sex marriage, taxes on relating to schools and levies and other fire departments, libraries. So some major issues people get to vote on, but most laws are taken care of by the representatives themselves. And this is the most common type of democracy. Direct is not really very common because it's very hard to pull off. Citizens have direct power in the government. They vote on laws, they have the power to create laws. And this type of democracy is very rare. So direct means they have direct influence, direct power in the government. This is only usually with small groups of cities and people in small countries. Here we're going to go through 4 or 5 examples and see if you can identify. Country X allows their citizens to vote for key leaders in the government to represent them, including the local, state, and some federal officials. One important requirement is that all those running for office must be a leader in the Catholic Church, priests and bishops. The Bible strongly influences the constitution of Country X. What kind of government is Country X? Pause the video now and decide which 2 types of government is Country X. All right. So what you should be looking for are some keywords here. First of all, it talks about citizens voting. Then it talks about how they're getting to vote for local, state, federal officials, and these are people that represent them. That should scream to you representative democracy. However, part 2 says that all those running for office must be a leader in the Catholic Church, in other words, priests and bishops, and the Bible, the Holy Book, gets to influence the constitution of country X. Anytime religion has a big impact in the government, then it's theocracy. So this one should be representative democracy and theocracy. Let's look at another one. Country Y has a defense minister that rules the country. He has gotten his power by defeating the previous government through war. The defense minister creates the laws and the citizens have very little rights. When voting occurs, the defense minister is the only name on the ballot. What kind of government is Country Y? There's only going to be one type here. Pause the video, think about it, and when you have your answer, hit play. So this one should be pretty obvious. Here we have this one guy who is very powerful defense minister. He got his power through war. He creates laws. Citizens don't have any rights. And if they do vote, then the defense minister is the only name on the ballot. In this case, we're looking at someone who is a dictator, someone who has absolute power. So Y should be a dictatorship. Country Z has a royal family where the king and his family have had power for many centuries. However, the king's power is limited by a senate that is elected by the people. The senate can make laws and vote on others. All citizens can run for senate. The king must follow the laws of the constitution that are voted by the senate. What kind of government is country Z? Hint, there's 2 of them. Pause the video, think about it, and hit play when you're ready. First thing that should jump out at you is this word king. The king, if there's a king, then we know that that's a monarchy. And here it's not an absolute monarchy because the king's power is limited by a senate. So the senate is elected by the people. They vote on laws. All citizens can run for senate and they can participate and have a chance to run. And there's a constitution. So because there's a senate that is elected by the people, this tells you that we have a representative type of democracy mixed in with monarchy. So the 2 types of government there should be monarchy and representative democracy. Country H is a small island that only has about 1,000 adults. All of them are invited to get together on a weekly basis to discuss and vote on key issues that impact the island country. There is no president. All people have equal power to create and vote on laws. There's only going to be one type here. Pause your video and decide which type it is, and then hit play when you're ready. So here we have a direct democracy because everyone is directly involved into this government. Last one. Country J has one powerful leader. Actually, just pause the video right now, read it, and then when you're ready, hit play. This one should be a dictatorship and a theocracy.